first part of South Africa's State Capture Commission of Inquiry report has been made public. The country's acting Chief Justice, Raymond Zondo, handed the report over to President Cyril Ramaphosa on Tuesday. The report is over 800 pages long and has been split into three segments. The first one dealing with fraud and corruption at South African Airlines. Now, joining us tonight on NC Continental Prime to unpack this is South African journalist and editor, Dianne Hawker. Hello, Dianne. Thanks for joining us on the news.
Thank you. Good evening to you, Benga, and good evening to the viewers as well.
Now, Dianne, what are some of the highlights that have come out of this report in relation to South African Airlines?
Well, the section on SAA is actually quite extensive. The report, as you mentioned, there is over 800 pages long, and the SAA section alone is more than half of the overall report. So it's the Commission spent quite a lot of time looking at the issues at SAA. It looked at the concerns raised about the former board chairperson, Dianne, who was accused of corruption and fraud, and also of just maladministration, which lost the airline quite a lot of money. One of the recommendations in the report relating to Dianne and SAA is that she should actually be criminally charged by the NPA for committing fraud, because there were certain misrepresentations that she made to the former Minister of Public Works that actually led SAA to lose over 800 million rand. Quite a significant amount of money. And we know now that since then, SAA has been in a lot of financial trouble. There's been issues with staff, retaining staff, and various other concerns. So losing money of that magnitude due to maladministration is a major concern. It also looked at a lot of the deals that were done by SAA beginning in around 2012, and it flagged some of those deals as very questionable and a clear sign that SAA was captured and that work was being done mainly to benefit the Gupta family as well as their associates.
Now, talking about the Gupta family is a name that keeps popping up when it comes to the Zondo Commission report. The second part of the report focuses on the New Age and the ANN7. These were media organizations owned by the Gupta family. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, absolutely. The New Age and ANN7, the report finds, were essentially set up to prop up the Gupta empire and to work essentially as propaganda machines, to be able to spread the positive propaganda that the family wanted to spread about their business practices. And this was partly because there was a lot of scrutiny on some of their businesses taking place in other mainstream media. The TNA, the New Age, used to have these breakfasts that they would hold with government organizations. And there were questions raised about how come these breakfasts were being conducted with one media organization instead of a proper tender process being undertaken to make sure that other organizations had the same amount of access. And the report basically found that this was allowing the Gupta family to have that additional propaganda, but also it allowed them to have extra funding because the state paid for these breakfasts. And in addition to that, also allowed them to have access to government ministers who were involved in the New Age breakfasts.
Now, the South African Revenue Service also features in this report. Were they indicted? What does the Zondo Commission say about this?
The Zondo Commission looked at the South African Revenue Service, which is really meant to help to act as a watchdog organization. And it found that there were concerted efforts being made by various parties to actually capture the revenue service, like other government departments were captured. One of the names that pops up is that of Tom Moyane, who was a former commissioner at SARS, and he was removed from that position after some within the revenue service complained about some of the contracts that had been signed. For example, there were contracts for a restructuring process that really wasn't required by the SA Revenue Service. And it later turned out that that whole process was just a money-making scheme where an external company was going to help to restructure SARS, although SARS had already recently been restructured and was working very well. So, of course, Moyane has come out to say that he doesn't agree with the findings in the report, but it will be up to the law enforcement agencies to see whether they will take further steps as a result of these findings.
And finally, Dianne, it seems like Pandora's box has just been opened, and accountability has been a big issue. That's why the Zondo Commission was constituted in the first place. What is likely going to happen as a result of this report? What are the consequences going to be?
Well, that was one of the questions that was asked at the press conference that was attended by President Ramaphosa and the acting Chief Justice Raymond Zondo. And President Ramaphosa indicated that government is going to wait for the time being until all three of the parts of the report are released. You'll understand that this was a 4-year-long process. So the report in itself will probably come to anything over 2,000 pages long if the first report is anything to go by. So government departments are not at this point going to do anything according to the president. However, he did say that agencies such as the National Prosecuting Authority, the Hawks, and other agencies that deal with crime in South Africa will be able to act immediately, particularly where there are direct recommendations from the commission. That was a bit of a disappointing response, I must be honest with you, Abenga, because there's quite a lot that has been laid out in the evidence of the commission, and one would think government would be able to act sooner rather than later. But the president says that the full report should be out by June, and by that time there will be an implementation plan put in place by government to start acting on some of the issues raised in the report.
We'll definitely keep our eyes open and ears open to follow events in South Africa. Thank you very much, as always, Dianne, for your input.
Thank you so much.